the instructions are to solve, right? And just to make sure you're all clear. Eventually, like on your next quiz, you're going to be graphing things like this. You won't be able to you won't graph things like this yet, but you will in the future. And when you graph them, right, like one like this, it's going to look something like that, which you'll learn all about in a little bit. And when you're solving, what you're doing is you're actually finding the x coordinate of those two intercepts. Whoa. And the reason that that works is because for the x-intercepts, you know, it's x and then comma 0. So y is equal to 0 for any x-intercept. I don't know why it's getting blurry like that, but yeah. So it's set equal to 0, and you're going to solve for this. And the way you're going to do it, you're going to factor. That's 5c you can take out of both of those. So you're left with c plus 3. Is that true? Is that good so far? So far, so good. Okay. Now, there's two factors. There's two things. They're multiplying. This isn't two numbers. That's one number. And this is another number. So it's one number times another number. They're multiplying and equals 0. So either 5c equals 0 or c plus 3 equals 0. Because if you multiply two things and the answer is 0, one of them has to be 0, right? So let's look at this one. 5 times what equals 0? 0, yeah. So c has to be 0. So there's one answer. Yeah? C plus 3, so what number plus 3 equals 0? Negative 3. Ooh, done. There's your two answers. So you factor, set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So Edgar, all three of these, they all are equal to 0 already. So that part's already set, right? But you get it equal to 0 first, then you factor, then you take each factor, set each factor equal to 0, and then solve each factor, and you're done. That's it.
Yeah.
Set it equal to 0, factor it, set each factor equal to 0, and done. This one's factored for us, right? So all we got to do is take each factor and set them equal to 0. So 4 times x equals 0, or if that's not what 0 is, then 2x minus 3 equals 0. One of those two has to be true. Alexa, do you understand why one of these two things has to be true?
I didn't understand again.
Okay, then here, watch. So either this 4x equals 0, right? Or this equals 0. Do you know why one of those has to be true?
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
Well, the first one has to be true, right?
Well, one of them has to be true. Check it out. Here's why. This is just a number. And it's multiplying with this is just another number. So it's just two numbers that are multiplying, like this. Right? And so either this number has to be 0, or this number has to be 0. We don't know which one it is, so we take each number, and we set each number equal to 0. Like that, see? Either A equals 0, or B equals 0. And we solve them both. And then we're done. So this one has to be 0, right? X would be 0. That's one answer. The other answer is x equals positive 3 over 2. Because you use inverse operations, you add 3 and then divide by 2, right?
Why is that 3 over 2?
Because you would add, okay, watch out. You add 3 first, right? And then you would divide by 2. Yeah. Good? Okay. Now the last one's kind of tricky. Because, well, do you see how there's x cubed? That means you could have up to 3 answers. In reality, there will be 3 answers, but sometimes they're not all real. Sometimes they're repeated. Sometimes like you'll have 2 answers that are the same. All right. And you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. When there's 4 terms, it's factored by grouping. Factored by grouping. So we actually have to make this 2 different parentheses. But this thing right here, here's the shortcut I always do. I always do that with factor by grouping because it makes my life easy. Because then when I draw my parentheses.
Yeah, that's what I meant by that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then when I draw my parentheses, I don't have to worry about accidentally changing the signs. Because if this was a minus, then what this would mean, it would be minus positive 16 and then minus negative 80, which make that a positive. So if I drew my parentheses wrong, then I would change the signs of this on accident, and it wouldn't be the same problem, so I'd get the wrong answer. Yeah. Okay, now, factor each group. I can take an x squared out, and then I'm left with x más 5. Yeah? When I factor this one, I should get x plus 5 left over inside. So they're both negative, so I can take out a negative, and I think 16 goes into both. I think 16 times 5 is 30. Sorry, 80. I think 16 times 5 is 80. Yeah. Okay, almost done. Almost done factoring anyway. Man, and I heard Ivan I heard Edgar just laying down the knowledge over there. Because you know what? Like, if I just gave you this as a factoring problem, you guys would be all over it, no problem. But now it's just part of something bigger, and that's when people mess up. So this is x plus 4, x minus 4, and x plus 5 equals 0. So we have to solve all three of them. So we have x plus 4 equals 0, or x minus 4 equals 0, or x plus 5 equals 0. We have to solve them all. They're all one step, right? They're all just the opposite. So this one is x equals negative 4, this one is x equals positive 4, and x equals negative 5. So the algebra on this one wasn't difficult, but the factoring was. Well, the inverse operations wasn't difficult. Well, say I know you're not feeling well, and sometimes when you're not feeling well, your brain doesn't work right. Do you have questions? No? Good? Okay. Alexa, do you have questions? Not yet.
No. That last one was.
The factoring was confusing, right? Well, let me ask you another question then, Alexa. After you got, like, say, to maybe this point right here, are you okay with what happened from here to the end?
No, that's where I go. That's from that.
From here to here? Well, x squared minus 16. That's really x squared plus 0x minus 16. You're looking for two numbers that multiply to a negative 16 and add to 0. That's negative 4 and positive 4.
But how did the step below that?
Wait, here down here?
No. That, the one on top.
Oh, here?
Yeah. How
Yeah,
did,
no, I'm not talking about that. Like,
no, but how did that turn into the bottom?
well, hold on. That's not what I'm at. Hold on. I want to know if we ignore this part, if you started here, could you get the rest? Like, don't worry about that. Let's say this was the problem you had right there. Would you be okay from starting here and ending up with these three answers? Because, well, I mean, do you see how we factored x squared minus 16 and got these two?
Yeah.
You sure? And then the x plus 5, so then you just set all three of them equal to 0, right? Set that one, see? Set them all equal to 0 and solve them. I think you're still, like, thinking about all this up here, huh?
Yeah.
Well, quit it. Quit thinking about those. Look, leave it. Watch that. It's gone now. It's gone. Bye. I can help you with the other part. But
How do you get like x plus 4 and x minus 4 and x plus 5?
okay, so x plus 5 was part of it already, right?
Yeah.
Well, we factored x squared minus 16. Because
you could have factored x plus 5, right?
no, it's already factored. Because the two numbers that multiply to negative 16 and add to 0, because there's a 0 in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
X plus 4 and x minus 4.
Okay.
Now, the factor by grouping, that's what you're having trouble with. Factor by grouping. We did those. It's when there's 4 terms and you factor out, like, this is the thing they have in common. That's what we took out. Do you see? All right. We'll talk about those again in a minute. Ready? Couple more. Oh no. Should we do an ugly one?
Let's do a hard one.
Let's do it. Let's do some ugly ones. Okay. Ooh, blurry. No wonder you're confused. Can't see.